Shavua Tov. I'm Doreen Ellenbell Dotan in Sfat. You know how they have those new 1-minute dance and factoid tutorials on YouTube? What do they call them? Factorials? I was watching one of them, and someone said that they don't leave a chair empty in their bedroom facing their bed. They never do that. And I went to see if this was some kind of a thing, or whether this was this personal, person's personal thing. Turns out it is a thing, and it goes like this. There are those who believe that you shouldn't leave a chair empty facing your bed at night, so that if a demon or a bad spirit comes into the room, they shouldn't sit on the chair and stare at you all night long. So I gave it some thought, and I from now on I've been keeping a blanket on the chair, because I figure if a demon is going to come into my bedroom in the middle of the night, I don't want him sitting in the chair staring at me. I want him sitting on the bed. If you're here already, do an old woman a favor. My husband's laughing in the background. He says to me, when I told him this joke, I saw on his face like there was a wave of jealousy that went over his face. I said to him, "Are you jealous?" He says to me, "You never put a blanket on the chair." And then I was watching another tutorial, and not a tutorial, this one was one of those factoid ones, and they were asking whether or not sharks are older than the North Star. When our kids were small, they used to ask questions like, if a dinosaur has a fight with a tank, who's gonna win? Exactly. Remember that was yeah. Yeah, so it turns out that what the scientists are considering is something that goes like this. The North Star, they say, is not just one star. It's actually a great big star, and then there's another little star next to it, and it's so close to us that from our perspective it looks like one star, and one of them may be like 5.1 billion years old, whereas the other might be only like a few tens of million of years old. Stay with me, just go with the flow. You don't have to believe this, just listen. So that being the case, they come to the tentative conclusion that sharks might be older than some parts of the North Star and younger than other parts. Recently I wrote on Facebook, and people also laughed when I wrote this, but this time I was dead serious. That's dead serious. That's a personal little joke, being dead serious. Anyway, I wrote on Facebook that if I had my druthers, nobody would be born a Jew until they had become a master in Buddhism. And they thought that I was kidding. This time I really wasn't kidding. If Hashem were to ask me, Doreen, how do you think that the creation would be set up? The first thing I would say is, don't let anyone be born a Jew until they have reached nirvana. Nirvanan, however it's pronounced. Why? Because learning Torah before someone has passed the point of judging everything as good and bad, and they're able to see everything as holy, and until someone has really sincerely gotten past the point of seeing duality and can see the unity in everything, learning Torah is very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. I can't imagine a worse starting point for living in this world than the belief that the way the rabbis interpreted the story in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden, and the way the Christians also read it that way, where God tells Adam not to eat from the tree of knowledge, and the Nachash tempts Chava, and she eats it, and she gives him an apple, and because of that everybody is going to die. And yeah, if you're still on the level of reading Torah where it looks to you like there are four antagonists, and somebody dies, and that's the way the world goes on, and then there's death in the world for the that's a very bad starting point. You get up in the morning with that kind of an idea entrenched in your consciousness, you're going to have a bad day. What's most important now for the Jewish people in particular is to ask Hashem how to perceive properly. Now, someone most absolutely, definitely, certainly can learn how to perceive properly by learning Tanakh. The teachings are there, but the problem is that they are being poisoned with the Babylonian Talmud. And the type of thought process and the type of consciousness that the Talmud develops is not only not helpful for learning Torah correctly, it actually impedes it, and in some cases actually prevents someone from getting into the right framework. I've said in other videos before that the real oral Torah is Hebrew grammar and Hebrew syntax. That's where all of the true explanations and information that appears not to appear in the written Torah is to be found. It is absolutely essential that a person does the work themselves. Once a person has gotten into that frame of mind, then it's very helpful to speak with others and share information and so forth and so on. But one has to start with that divine inspiration. It doesn't just happen. One has to ask for it. Ask for it repeatedly, ask for it sincerely, and one day it does come. And when it comes, it is tailored specifically to that person's consciousness and their the genetic load that they're carrying, the history that they're carrying. The rabbis cannot help you with that. The rabbis are not in that state. They're in a very bad state. And things are becoming more and more chaotic and more dangerous. So my sincere, not only suggestion, but I guess I'm actually like pleading with you, is to turn to Hashem directly. Believe that you're able to do that. Believe that you can, and believe that the answer will come to you in the best possible way for you. And then begin learning Torah correctly, because, as I said, with Hashem's help, years ago, when the process first began, that the world that was generated by Talmudic thinking is disintegrating. And now that disintegration is happening apace, and it's very extreme, and it's very dangerous. And have pity on yourselves and turn to Hashem and say, help me. I really, what I thought I knew evidently isn't helping me and isn't bringing me a world of peace. I genuinely want to be devoted to peace, and I want to be able to take my place in the holy society of those who dedicated their lives to Torah peace. And then Hashem will show you the way. Thank you sincerely for listening. Please don't come to me with requests for advice. This is all I can do. My job ends with you accepting that you don't know what you think you do. At that point, you have to turn to Hashem, not to me. Thank you for listening.